hear all of it.
Right.
It's just been like, yeah, we're thinking about these ideas. But now that we're at the end, we've got some concrete ideas that we're absolutely excited and ready to share.
Yep. Yep. So, well, with no further ado, welcome everyone into the stream here for our finale of 2024. And James is in the booth with me here today.
Hiya.
And yeah, I mean, are you ready to close out another chapter in our series?
I am really excited to get this done and dusted so we can look forward to next year. I'm so excited for next year, and getting this race wrapped up means we can start looking more forward to it.
I know that a lot of people are kind of waiting on earning reports. Once this race concludes, we'll have earnings tallied up so that people can start looking towards silly season moves if they desire, making money moves and whatnot. And so, yeah, no. Indianapolis here today, 550 miles. We have ended the season at Indianapolis every year since 2010. So sticking with tradition here. And it has been the Al Bunch show all year this year. And it looks like things are going to stay
It
relatively
honestly feels
unchanged.
like his whole organization as a whole has been working hard
Right?
all year. If he's not winning, somebody from that team is winning somewhere within the
Yeah,
ladder.
definitely. It's been a rough go of it for Atley. I thought he was going to get a couple wins there, but unfortunately had a mechanical failure at Kansas where he was leading over Al Bunch. So these two starting on the front row here today is awesome. Getting to see them fight it out for the win will be it'll be worth the price of admission, even if Al Bunch has already tied up that championship. And as we skim through the rest of the field, you're basically looking here, bunch of drivers that would like to get at least one win in the season. Taden Bergeron winless in his career in Sigma Cup. Kevin Xavier there would like to end on a high note. Right there in the mid pack, I've managed to knock out a couple wins, which is crazy. Didn't expect to
I
see.
know. First 2 years I was here, you couldn't get a win to save your life, but
Right.
this year you've rattled off what, two,
Yeah.
three?
4. We've
Oh wow,
had a
I
good
missed one.
season. And then Braden Varga will be running for Rookie of the Year status next year, and he's been running up front looking like a contender for wins. It's going to be Tim Cording on his outro, at least for Cup. He's going to be heading to Bridge to Cup next year. And we'll see Tom Cording kind of fill that gap moving up. But you're looking at the last time some of these teams are going to run here, as so many teams are changing suit, changing manufacturer, whatever it is.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Last time we were at Indianapolis, Atley won here, so maybe, I don't want to give no commentary jinx, but maybe it's a good luck omen.
See, I don't even think you had to get on track there. We had like 1 second.
I know, right?
We timed that perfect. I do want to add, we've got lots of hashtag material for this race. Lots of social media hashtag material. As
I think
Atley pointed out with hashtag one last time, and I pointed out with hashtag Tim's final ride in the chat, final run in the chat.
I feel like some could argue there's a hashtag for hashtag stop Al Bunch from winning.
Yeah, hashtag stop Al Bunch.
There's
In the streak.
To put it into perspective, his 15 wins this season puts him up into the top 5 of winningest drivers of all time.
That's great. I hadn't even heard you once say the total amount. I've just been watching the cup total rack up, but 15 in the year, that's insane. Especially when you consider like how NR works.
Well, and I even had to do my own digging. Obviously, I've been making comparisons to that of Jeff Gordon. The last time that we've seen a NASCAR season with more than 15 wins, you have to go back, way back. I got to go back and find that list again. Off to the early lead, though, it is Al Bunch over Chaz Chadwick, Ewan What Army, and then Atley, it looks like, is going to slot back into fourth there.
It was Petty in 75 that you're thinking of. If that's what you were thinking of.
Yeah, and how much was that, like 20?
13. He ripped off 13. That's the most we've seen in NASCAR history. Has anybody managed to hit that 13 mark? Nobody's been able. I think nobody's been able to break the like tie that's up there. I think it's a tie right now between Petty, Gordon, and Larson, I think.
Hold on, I gotta find the sheet.
I feel wrong about adding Larson to that list because it doesn't sound right now that I say it.
The stats list that I found was...
Because there's only like 2 or 3 guys in NASCAR history that have managed to rack off a season like that. You have to put everything, not a single toe wrong, really.
There we go. Okay, I found it. The website I was looking for was the third turn on NASCAR, and the wins in a full season. If you go back, obviously in more modern era, you don't see double-digit wins near as often. Kyle Larson, like you said, kind of the outlier there. It's kind of, I mean, he went out on tear in 2021 and got 10 wins.
Is that what it was? It was 10.
Yep.
For him. I knew he was like, they were talking about it, and everybody was excited because it looked like he was gonna do it.
Ooh, there we go.
I think
Atley made quick work of the LFG teammates there. He's now up to second and has his target set on Al Bunch.
Has Chaz gotten any wins this year?
He does not, believe it or not. It's crazy.
I feel like as much with the dominance of Al, the return of the Cording brothers mid-season, it has made it incredibly hard for some drivers like Chaz to even get one. And I feel like we have enough parity as well outside of Al Bunch, Al Bunch's dominance here in Cup.
Right. Yeah, no, it's just been one of those years that it's been a stout field. And I think it goes to show you right there with Chaz Chadwick making the pass back on Atley. I think he's wanting to end this season with a win on the tally board there. And I guess just a quick update here. It's no there's no question about it. Our rookie of the year is going to be Nate Newman in the number 20. And had a stellar start of the season, has been struggling towards the second half of the year here. As we're digging deep in the field, I'm trying to find where he is running. Usually he qualifies pretty well, but unfortunately here at Indy, he's running 35th early on here today. But Rookie of the Year, kind of much locked and in his name. Doesn't have to worry about don't have to worry about fighting anyone else for it here today. But yeah, getting back on the trail that I was getting on there, you got to go as far back to 1998. That was the season I was likening Al Bunch to Jeff Gordon when Jeff Gordon had 13 wins. Well, keep going a little bit further back. There was a lot of single digits. You had 11 wins from Dale Earnhardt in 1987. 12 wins from Darrell Waltrip on back-to-back occasions, so 1982 and 1981.
I forgot about that. I had heard about that. That's crazy. Wouldn't it be crazy to see Al Bunch do that again? Do this again next year the same way?
Right.
Rip off another 15 wins on the season and lock up the championship 3 races early.
Well, and if he did that, he would actually jump up to second in the all-time wins list in only 3 years of racing. If that were to happen, if it panned out.
They say life imitates art, or however that saying goes.
Right.
I feel like NR does a very good job sometimes when we're making up our little stories for stuff. Sometimes NR does a fantastic job of being like, oh, life is gonna imitate art here. Your art is gonna definitely imitate life for a hot minute, because why not?
Well, and I know for a fact that it's going to be a little harder for Al Bunch next year. Sigma has mandated some preseason testing. And with this preseason testing, that's going to give the other teams, not named Jaguar, to pretty much catch up. And I think what Sigma officials are planning on doing with this is to try and, level out the playing field. Things have gotten a little bit skewed here lately. You don't see very many Chevys running at the front of the field.
Well, that's what I was just gonna add was we do have one manufacturer that in the last few years I don't think we've seen them take victory lane in anything.
I can look that up too and see where manufacturers lie at the end of the season here.
I don't think we've seen a Chevy win in like a year and a half at least.
Chevy, like, yeah, 0 wins on the year for this year.
That's one thing that maybe with KBM going to Chevys across the board, that we might see a team finally break that curse, it seems, or something. I don't know.
It just blows my mind. Jaguar, with only 2 drivers, have racked up 17 wins this year.
Yeah, they've definitely figured something out. Like, it's remarkable what they've managed to figure out.
Second highest was Ford this season. With 13 drivers, they were able to rack up 12 wins. So obviously they had the advantage of, quantity. Quantity did convert over to quality in some cases there, as they managed to get a win almost per driver. There's still a lot of Ford drivers that didn't win this year since there were so many multi-winner drivers, which that's going to be an interesting swing there as my team switches from Ford over to Hyundai, or in other words, Genesis, the parent company, or the luxury branch of Kia/Hyundai.
Well, and not to mention we are working on putting into another ladder system, which will allow us the opportunity to have outliers once in a while roll in, as long as the people are active members, at least.
Right. No, yeah.
We'd hate to see somebody we'd hate to see me bench Tim and then have that open part-time seat and just bring in like Taylor from open wheel.
Right.
Like, that's not as fun for everybody. Yeah, it's cool that like Taylor's off running open wheel and she's coming to run like the Music City Grand Prix. That's cool. But it's like, yeah, James already has a driver in the race. Great.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm excited to see what our iRacing, our extension of Sigma can do on iRacing. It's kind of fun having all these different tools at our disposal because NR's got its limitations, and obviously iRacing as well has its limitations to where,
yeah,
you know,
one of
NR you
the
can get mods for tracks that don't exist on iRacing, and iRacing you're pretty much at the whim of the creators on what tracks are available for you.
well, and not to mention what the creators make, but also what your pocketbook is willing to spend on it. Like
True.
for our Formula T season, we both agree the schedule I've put together is it's a nice schedule with the tools that I had, but there are definitely tracks on the schedule that if I went and bought something from one of those other countries, from like, for example, the race we're doing in Germany is at the Motorsports Arena. Yeah, that's cool, but it would be a lot cooler if I spent the money and bought Nürburgring and we went to the Nürburgring GP.
Right.
And like, I have Le Mans on the schedule, which will be fun, but it's a very long track. I wouldn't mind replacing it with something a little more, with something that's just as much notoriety as Le Mans, but maybe a little bit shorter. Because I know exactly how Le Mans is going to go. They're probably going to get spread out, and it's going to be very much to the whim of, are they going to pit? When are they going to pit?
Well, and you might be able to argue that's even more simulated than you know NR2003 rolls out, because so many of your road courses do tend to get strung out, and things are at the whim of, you know, follow the leader kind of races and stuff like that.
And I think that's kind of what makes it fun on the oval end over there, is that they they will not accept it. They will not accept just on a short track lining up and single filing it out like we do occasionally see on NR. Albunch asked a question in the comments. He said, "Why not the Daytona road course?" We are going to Daytona. I just decided to use the Super Speedway, the '08 version, because I tested it and I liked how the bumpiness of the track made the cars act and how they race. It was very kind of fun to watch, honestly. So that's why we're not doing the Daytona road course, because we're still doing Daytona. It's just the oval, the old oval. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think getting through the final race here today means that we'll have more wide open time to actually fine tune and pretty much, you know, just focus on, you know, production for next season. It's awesome that we've got the schedule for Sigma all throughout ARCA, Trucks, Bridge to Cup, and Cup plotted out for next year. The only thing that really changed is I get Saturdays off now. So instead of Sunday, Monday like I used to have, it's it's not a big, you know, not too big of an adjustment to make. I mean, when I come home, I think for my weekdays I'll be able to do, you know, recording and do some more editing rather than just do live streams all the time. That's where I was on the schedule mentioning that the you know, races would be recorded and tape delayed a day to give you know, give me a little bit of reprieve on doing it every single day with a live stream. That means I'll do a live stream. I think the way I had it worked out, I'd still be doing it on Tuesday and Thursday. But Monday I would do like the truck race, and then it would be trucks and Bridge to Cup on Tuesday. I'd have to double check. I'm just remembering off of pure memory at the moment. And then it
Well,
would be Bridge to Cup, or ARCA and Cup on Thursdays or Friday, depending on.
Yeah, I feel like before your schedule, you had figured it out, and it was nice, but like there were a lot of times where you were forced into a situation where it's like you're gonna spend the next 5 hours at your screen recording 2 races
Yeah.
because you're behind by like 2 weeks,
Well,
and it's like,
I'm hoping to capitalize on switching up time zones wherever I can, and maybe that means on a Saturday if I have a free day, I can maybe record 2 or 3 races and have them preset for, and then just schedule them out for the next time that they are supposed to be, broadcasted. So
that's kind of, honestly, I'll be honest, that's kind of what I intend to do for Formula T. Is I'll probably uh run and I'll record, and then I'll have a backlog for a few weeks. So that way, if I fall behind or life gets in the way, I at least have races that are recorded and championship is progressing and we're safe.
might have a little bit of a battle brewing here in the top 4
Yeah.
as
Well, and I'd like to point out, you still have you've been setting fast lap time after fast lap time for for a hot minute there at the start.
wow, Kevin Xavier up into the top 5.
I was watching the fastest lap time, and for like 3 straight laps, it changed, and all 3 times you had the fastest lap. Still.
Damn. Whoa, there's some contact there. You can see tire marks on the side after Tyler Aspinall gets into the door of Ewan What Army. He's roughing up What Army there a little bit. So right there, Kevin Xavier in the number 10 for LFG Motorsports. This will be the last race in the number 10, as he's going to have to switch over to the number 14 for next year. The reason for that is our USA Trucks champion, Jordan Walker, going to make the move up to Cup, going to keep his number 10 that he has carried all the years in the Truck Series, and he's going to make a stab at it in 2025 with a new team opening up, backed by Red Bull. He's going to have a good season, I imagine, coming off a truck championship and moving into a better opportunity in Cup than he's ever been. He is on the track here right now. He usually has some rough races in this 5 car. It hasn't been great, hasn't been stellar, but he's been getting his paces in. He's been learning the ropes here in the Cup side of it, and with the championship, I think all the pieces are gonna kind of fall together. So his rookie campaign, a lot like Al Bunch. I mean, we saw back in 2023, Al Bunch had a terrible rookie campaign. Not saying it's gonna happen the same way, but maybe the writing's on the wall. You never know. We might see Jordan Walker come out knocking wins out of the park next year with a switch of teams. We sure as hell know that Al Bunch was able to capitalize on it. I think there may be some sour grapes on LFG Motorsports side that they had this. They had Al Bunch last year, and just unfortunately the equipment did not mesh well with Al Bunch or something. I don't know. You never know, honestly. It's one of those things that kind of an anomaly now that you look at it. Al Bunch makes this jump over to Jaguar to race with Washington stablemate Kellen Relic, team owner Kellen Relic, and Kellen Relic Racing. And the rest is history, as you can see. 2024 champion, 15 wins, and potentially still counting, as there's just this last race to go here today. But yeah, I can only imagine the brass at LFG Motorsports have got to be kind of scratching their heads after having this talent and then letting it slip away. I'm still going up that list, James, from all the wins. You can go back to 1975, and there was no one that had more than 13 wins.
Yeah. Petty kind of kicked off the drivers finding a way to just be dominant. He kind of kicked it off a little bit. Nobody before then had really people had figured out how to be good and great, but like nobody had figured out the recipe for managing to be dominant all year long.
Well, do you want to know if we're comparing this to NASCAR, the last time that this many wins were close to, you know, that was greater than or less than what NASCAR really had? 19. So 53 years ago, Al Bunch has done something that has not been done in motorsports in over 53 years. Back to 1971. You have to look that far back in the histories of the NASCAR Cup Series to find someone with more than 15 wins. And that was Richard Petty, of course, with 21 wins in a season. Now, the similarities to that kind of stop. I mean, honestly, there's no similarities. Richard Petty won half the races that year. If we had 8 more races, Al Bunch could probably, it could be close to matching that. Honestly, we're at a 42 race season, and 1971 they had 48 races, and Richard Petty won 21 of them, so just shy of half. And if we had 6 more races, it's hard to say, but Al Bunch may very well, if the length of schedule was identical to 1971, you could be looking at him being likened to Richard Petty there.
But I really think within the next, if things go the way they're going, we will see a world where it's Al Bunch and maybe like a few guys just duking it out win for win all year long. You also have to figure, I just thought about this. It's been a hot minute since anybody's used their funding. It's been a hot minute. So there's a chance that a lot of teams are going to get really good depending on where they invest their money.
Right. No, and that's going to be the excitement of the off season here, is seeing what money moves are going to be made. And kind of the big shakeup, obviously, that of Atley Weiss, as we see him running second there. He's opened up Project Roar, which will give some of the up-and-coming talent that seat right there that you're looking at, the number 19 Toyota Supra that Atley claimed the 2023 championship this time last year. You're going to see the likes of Wyatt Wilkinson, Willow Blake, and even Trevor Vaden. I could be wrong, but I want to say it was Trevor Vaden. So 3 star-studded up-and-comers that get pretty much the best equipment that they could possibly get in a rookie challenge that could be a huge benefit for them going forward. If they prove their mettle, they might you know, very well be the full-time entry for that car in 2026. So you got to put that in the swing of things too, with all these people making money moves. There's going to be some new features or new angles being thrown out there in this Cup Series. I've already opened up the floodgates, allowing for larger fields, bigger, you know, bigger field counts to let more people attempt to make the main events and whatnot. And so we're sitting probably at about 47 entries for Daytona.
Well, and there technically is one car that is currently we're planning for part-time, but if somebody comes along that's active and is wanting to get in the Cup, we do still have the 90. That's just going to be a part-time next year.
And as to who's in the 90 here today at Indianapolis, let's go check in on that. Got Tom courting, so you got Tim and Tom. That's how fitting. With obviously Tim making what could be one of his last Cup starts for a while. Tom will be switching seats and hopping over into that 50 for a full-time venture. So I didn't do this on purpose. It just, the NR racing gods decided to pair it up here today. And so you got Courting Brothers, or I guess Courting Squared, as you might say.
I like to refer to it as Courting Squared, T squared.
Yeah, T squared. This here is interesting, as Tyler Aspinall, I mean, he's had a pretty good season, and I think he's going to be a contender next year for a big championship contender. This 45 has been quiet this year, but with Ford switching hands to a few different drivers, I think more resources are going to come his way, and we're going to see more success out of that Tyler Aspinall Racing 45 entry.
Well, and with some manufacturers potentially leaving, we could see resources get spread thin for some manufacturers too.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least thinner in some aspects, because looking at the Jaguars, for example, maybe they're not as dominant once they have to start sharing the wealth with two more cars. You know?
Right. We might have our first round of green flag pit stops here, as the 3 maybe already ran out of gas. Oh, flat tire, that's what it is. So Nelson Chacon with a flat tire rolling around on the apron here. We have been caution free through the first 35 laps here today. Al Bunch has been up front the whole time, but he has not really been able to get away from his competitors there in his rear view mirror. Atley keeping it interesting, running right there on his back. A little catch up, draft right up to his back bumper, and then gets a little out of the acceleration there and loses some ground, but it's kind of a slinky effect. As you can see, he'll close up and then lose the gap. And I think at this point, that's exactly what Atley needs to do. He's at this point just trying to save some fuel. There's no need to be up front leading all the laps when you can kind of draft behind the leader and save some fuel. Just like that. As I was mentioning that, Al Bunch burned more fuel, and he's got to pit first. Al pitting, and Atley stays out to lead his first lap of the day here. Oh yeah, bingo card. No, that'd be so cool to have a bingo card for next year, so that it...
I think it'd be funny. I think somebody should make it, because it'd be pretty funny. For for us to click off things every once in a while.
It could make the streams a little bit more interactive if you've got, you know, if you can guarantee that you're gonna log into the stream, I'll give you a bingo card. And
yeah, we'll generate a bingo card to give you. And you can, if you get a bingo, then you can impact the race somehow.
well, maybe we give a +1 boost to your ratings.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The more bingos you get, the more +1s you get.
There we go. We got the second group of cars pitting here next lap around. So Al Bunch pitted on lap 36. So, wow. So this pit stop, the next lap by, could potentially put these guys on pitting. They're good to go to the finish with only 5 more stops, versus Al Bunch, who might have to make 6 stops. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see a caution-free race here at Indianapolis, but if the race does just so happen to go caution-free, which I would be blown away if that happened. Atley Weiss is on the winning side of that strategy by about 3 laps. It's gonna look good for Al Bunch for a couple laps here, as he had the advantage of fresher tires to get by. It's gonna be interesting to see if we keep this race green all the way. Wow, are they gonna go lap down? Oh no, okay. Al Bunch is getting his lap back here. Now this is kind of the danger zone when people are coming off pit road here at Indianapolis. The merge gets to be a little hairy here.
I probably should keep an eye on that one. I didn't like that one. I have a feeling they're going to merge weird.
So far, so good.
I was more concerned about BK and Tom, because they actually did touch coming off the pit lane a little bit.
Looks like we're good.
Okay, good. They made it off safe. I just saw them touch just barely in Tom's quarter panel, and I know how sometimes they merge coming off of pit lane. And I could just see it happening, like our leader coming barreling down the straight, and Tom gets accidentally right hooked into the traffic.
Damn, Al Bunch, to the advantage of that earlier pit stop, has stretched that lead out exponentially here. Looks like Atley Weiss is going to settle into second here briefly.
Okay, honestly, this is a pretty solid bingo card from Al Bunch. So in the B position, we've got rookie wins in their debut, post-race drama, 3 wide goes poorly, 3 or more shangles in the top 10, Jake in top 5.
Well,
In
there's
the
one.
in the eye line,
I'm up to
we
5th.
got Jaguar wins yet another race, lap car getting EQ'd, damaged car wins it, the Atley special. Hold on, no, I'm gonna call that out. That's not right. That's the Tim Cording special.
I think it's safe to say this year it's been the Atley special, but you compare both Atley
that's
and
how he got race sponsorship, was
the AAA, yeah, AAA insurance.
Yeah, he destroyed the truck and yet still somehow still won the race.
Yeah. Well, what was weird, it happened, I think, 2 of 3 times for Atley this year. 2 of his 3 wins came.
It's weird watching them damage their stuff real bad and then just limp it home to a
Well,
victory. It's like, well, NR, way to go.
Al
Good job.
Bunch definitely had the win in so many cases, and then he'd get wrecked out halfway through the race, and then here come Atley with damage on his car, just doo-doo-doo, right to the front and win the race.
So after that, we've got Al Bunch wins, and then Jack Ross evades black flag. In the N category, we have Al wins by a large margin, which, hold on, not quite. We're not quite there yet. Blown engine / flat tire.
We've
Free
seen
space.
so many flat tires this year. Holy cow.
Tyler Shangle wins a crown jewel race. Al eats at a restaurant after a big win. G is constant Al Bunch glazing, which, looking at the chat, I'm gonna mark that off on my bingo card. 2 teammates up front, alternate pit strategy, lapped car being annoying. Hey, now that one's not fair, Al. We're the officials here. Officials making bad calls. Is that the NR officials or us making calls?
I make some pretty bad calls.
To be fair, you've made calls that I've watched and I've been like, Jacob, why? But then I've been like, I'm not there to be the voice of reason to try to figure out a better way to do it.
Apparently, Bixby
I
thought I was talking to it on my phone.
9 times out of 10, though, when you make a call, I try to think of a different way to do it, and I can't think of a better way to do it than just like DQing them or giving them a random wave around.
Right. No, it gets, there's
NR's tricky.
limitations.
Tricky. NR is a very tricky thing. It's the same way with iRacing, and if you try to give like wave arounds, you gotta be careful because sometimes they take just too long going through the field. You try to be a nice official by letting people get their laps back, and the AI is just like, I'm gonna meander at the back of the pack here until we have 1 to go, and then I'm gonna try to pass everybody. And it's like, no, take your lap back now, or I'm just gonna give you an end of line.
Well, I don't know if you would believe me, but this version of Indianapolis, which is the OG one that came packaged with the game, I've almost always had crazy racing here throughout the years. This seems very, very chillax. I mean, there's not a lot of. I mean, we did see some bumping, bump to pass going on with a few drivers, but they're really racing clean and calculated here.
Good time, dude. We're making good time on the race too. We're just about to the roughly quarter mark, and we've only been rolling for about an hour, not even.
Anything predating back to 2017 and back, which I think the only thing that would be different was the change of mod. I used to run Bullring, the BR15, the BR13, all the Bullring, the Cup, version, and it seemed like this race would be a wreck fest where it would take out, 90% of the field, and then you'd have just a handful of drivers left running by the end. In recent years, this race has actually been a lot cleaner and a lot, it's a race for the most part.
Well, and I feel like that's just some of the tracks in the NR where they're designed nicely, but the AI lines are just a little off.
Well, would you note, is it possibly something to do with the mod? Could the ICR mod actually run smoother on certain tracks? I know that the
funny enough, yeah, it kind of does with the mods. They're a bit finicky like that, where it's like if they don't like the track, then they're gonna drive weird. But for the most part, it's usually if there's a problem, it's probably on the track's end, not so much on the car's end.
Right.
Like, for an example, I mentioned a track to you yesterday in our messages, Hagerstown. That was a staple on my schedules. And when I initially downloaded it, they had a problem with in the middle of the corner, it's a dirt track, and they would just randomly lose grip and just take out like 8 cars in the process. And it would happen every like few laps. People wouldn't completely DNF, but like there was a lot of torn up cars. So it got to the point where there was like multiple bunch of cars lapped down, and then like a handful or a few that were on the lead lap. But I got help fixing the INI on it, just a hair, and it instantly fixed the problem.
Okay.
It didn't matter what mod I used on that track, they all did it.
It was just the track.
Yep, it was the track INI being off by like a couple point somethings. And once I fixed that, it fixed the racing.
Well, and I think
they raced there perfectly the rest of the time.
I think too another comparison we could make is looking back at history in, real NASCAR as
right, because it's not like the stuff that we have happen on occasion doesn't happen in real life. Didn't happen in real life when they were building things.
Well, I mean,
when they were building all the racing stuff.
2008 was definitely a rocky year when they incorporated the car of tomorrow. And
yeah, that was a weird year. It would be like us deciding to next year, on top of this mod, for like a quarter of the schedule, we're going to try out a new mod. We're going to try out the muscle car layout model.
Yeah,
because
they'll be the super
Speedway car. Yeah. Which, honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I almost considered something similar for Formula T, for the bigger track, for, like, the super speedways and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, nah, I think it's pretty fun to watch them at, like, max speed, try to figure out how to make runs happen. It's kind of fun.
That's kind of what IndyCar does. They bring a speedway package or a road course package. And it's kind of interesting. I've noticed in recent years, they'll bring a road course a road course package to a short track oval. And apparently,
yeah, because it works.
Yeah, apparently the aerodynamics are just it doesn't really transition. You got the long super speedway layout, which is the Indianapolis 500, sleeker looking design so that it can go faster. But sometimes you just don't want to go faster on those short ovals because of how dangerous it could be. Now, Al Bunch might not want to hear it, but these two that we're watching right here starting to close the gap up, starting to reach the back end of the lead here. Atley Weiss and Jacob Shangle catching up to Al Bunch. Oh, and here we got a side-by-side going through turn 3. In the middle of the turn here, Atley on the high side, under attack going through turn 4. It's going to be the 64 side-by-side drag racing down the front stretch with the 19 as Atley legging it out here. Is he going to be able to close the door? Not quite. Now that might be a tough move to make back. That 64 looks stout, looks fast. Atley's going to have his work cut out for him.
Well, and you got to wonder if you can make it past Atley, do you start running down Al Bunch now? Because you are the fastest one on track still. Nobody's touched your fastest lap yet. So you clearly have a car that's figured something out over here. You've just been marring traffic all race.
So yeah, I think it's interesting that we can make the comparison that even the Sigma series has had progressions similar to that of real life NASCAR. That the change of you know, change the generation of car. You know, we've had our own Gen 1, Gen 2. I would probably say we're on about Gen 4 with the ICR mod. And I honestly don't think there's, you know, any need. It's not like we're trying to make the cars safer. It's not like the cars need to go faster or anything. ICR, I love it because a local individual, a Washingtonian, built the mod, Mystic, and honestly, it's going to be my mod of choice for the existence of Sigma going forward. So it's
Well, and I
so
feel like
versatile.
we're also in our technically our second generation of trucks
Yeah.
too, because we just did that like 2 years ago. You went through and you updated all the faces on the mod we're using.
Yep.
I feel like it gives us a uniqueness where it's like, yeah, everybody, like all the major air quotes NR communities like ours, for example, like Sign On, they do a lot of their stuff on the original build of the game, but they make fake manufacturers for themselves, which is cool. It's cool. Like it's their own thing, you
Well,
know?
in
And
Jaguar,
I feel like that's what makes us unique is that we go through every few years and we facelift them to whatever we want, really. What our standard is.
I know that I've had a lot of scoffers, at least of people I would tell about my series on the outside. I mean, there's some. Did someone wreck? There. Did you see those tire marks? I was like,
I thought so. I thought I'd seen some tire marks.
I don't know when that happened, but there's no one out of the
I'm
race.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm almost to the top of the ticker. I'll let you know if somebody's out of the race. But it doesn't look like anybody's out of the race. Maybe somebody's a lap down?
He's crunched up, so it had to have been the 51 here.
How bad's
Oh
the
yes, it
damage?
just happened on lap 54. Things stayed green. We didn't get a caution out of it either. And what was I talking about though?
I have a feeling I know what happened here.
Bam! Ooh, Brinker. Well, he collects it and keeps on rolling. Staying green. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of what I figured. '09 just sent it in, and the 451 car was forced to be the victim here.
no, but I remember what I was gonna say now. It's the only place you'll find this Jaguar model is here, because I created that Jaguar. I meticulously, that was my first template that I created by hand, and I realized how, you know, how easy it could be to actually make your own custom, you know, templates and stuff. I have not
It,
shared it on Stunod or anything like that. It is exclusive to the Sigma servers, so
well, and another person on our server that is, I want to give him a bit of a shout out if that's cool with you, because he is smaller. He's definitely a lot smaller, and he's trying to survive on his own.
are you talking about Brian DeBlanc or?
I am not. I am not. That is not like, yeah, he's part of our community, but like his series is part of our community. I'm talking about somebody that's not part of our series, but is part of our community. Does that make more
Gotcha.
sense?
Yeah, go ahead, shout out. I don't know who you're talking about.
I am talking about Rich Roy. His series. Let me look up the name of it real quick on my phone, because I've been a part of it the last year, and he's working on. He's been doing it slow. He does it on his own time and everything. And his
Well,
channel is History Battler here on YouTube.
and I'm not
And it,
100% sure, but I think he's in school, right? Like college, he's
yeah,
pretty busy
yeah,
with.
he's pretty busy with stuff. Like he'll have a moment where he's pumping out races, and then he'll have moments where he is not posting anything.
No, I'm excited that he's gonna stick around and he'll be running again next season in Bridge to Cup. It's gonna be interesting to see what.
Yeah, I love talking to him and having him around. But he runs his stuff on the base game as well, and he also does kind of like fixes up his own templates for it. Like the paints are good. They're pretty good for just him by himself doing it all.
See, and I think would it be safe to say, like I'm just thinking out loud here, that if you were to monetize a NR based game, streaming, um, that it's more. I guess monetizing should be easier if you're using the base package rather than someone else's mod, because if you monetize, and I'm featuring the ICR mod that Mystic made, that gets kind of foggy, doesn't it?
It gets foggy, but I feel like as long as you're giving credit where credit's due to him and elaborating in the little blurb that I have edited these to make them kind of my own, but still giving him credit for the original mod, I feel like it's fine. Most people in the community are pretty chill as long as you're willing to give them the credit they deserve. Like like with my old stuff again. What I didn't paint any cars. I went to Stunot and just grabbed car packs. And was just posting my videos everywhere. Well, when you post everywhere, you're gonna run into the painters that painted them.
Right.
And most of them were happy to comment on my stuff, being like, "Oh, I painted bunch of those cars."
Uh-huh.
And as long as you're willing to communicate with them and be like, "Oh my God, thank you." Like I'll be honest, I just grabbed some.
Lead.
There's one for the bingo card, Al.
Atley going for the lead here on Al Bunch going into turn 4. Atley's going to come out drag racing down the front stretch. And I think Atley might have the advantage going into turn 1 here. Man, how cool is that, getting to see Atley at the front leading? He actually takes the lead with his own power there, steals the lead away from Al Bunch. We're about, I want to say, 10 laps short from the next round of green flag pit stops here. And there we go. A bit of a shake-up at the front of the field as Atley Weiss goes to the lead, Jacob Shangle up to second, and Al Bunch back to third. So we're looking at about 3.5 hours for this race, which is about normal. It's going to be right at 3.5.
Yeah, which means I'll probably about halfway through here take my leave. So if we want to use this little time before our next pit stall to talk about Formula T and some of the future stuff, that might be a good time to do that.
Yeah, I usually like making this last race of the year the longest one. It's got to be an endurance, you know? You got to go out there and earn the last win of the year.
Yeah. it's always good to have a longer. I guess that's kind of why I went with Le Mans for the last race on the Formula T schedule, because I'm like, it's nice to have a nice big grand marquee track as your finale and have it be something that's cool
Right.
and unique. Like, how much better would the World Endurance Championship season be if Le Mans was the finale instead of like the mid-season? That season would be so much better if it was like running across the world and then, oh, hi everybody, all of these viewers coming to watch the Le Mans.
Right.
This is the finale of the championship. Oh, cool. So we're getting to see how this is going to play out then. Whereas we go to, I don't know, because I don't watch World Endurance. I just know that Le Mans is like the middle of their championship for some weird reason.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately disqualifying the 3 for not meeting adequate race pace there. Huge kudos to Cam Jordan. We haven't seen a whole lot from Cam Jordan this year, and he's running top 5 right now, competing for a good finish here in his last run for TRD.
Looking like Jacob might set up for that pass here soon.
Ooh, there goes Al Bunch on the inside of the 64 engine there. Yeah, not quite. Yeah, so no, the Formula T, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of debut it. I'm thinking while I'm working through the kind of testing period, I might broadcast a little bit in the Discord just so people can kind of come check out more.
We're still trying to figure out an angle on how to set the roster though, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, we're working on that. I figure the roster I have now will be our like in canon 24 with what I get at the whatever, after all my testing's done, whatever the final point tally is, that's what we'll use for championship stuff for this year for lore reasons. But yeah, for 2025, I'm not really sure what to do about the roster right now.
See,
I feel like if we're gonna broadcast the whole thing, we should probably evaluate opening it up. But I know like that 2 of our viewers currently, I have put in drivers for. I've put in drivers for Al Bunch and Atley Weiss basically over there. It's just a matter of maybe reaching out to these guys and seeing, what do you think of the name? Do you want to change it? Do you like it? Do you not want to be involved in Formula T at all? Like, because that's cool too. If people don't want to be involved in it, that means we can open it up more for other people to join. But it's a case of I'm thinking once we start rolling, we can make a post in the Formula T chat being like, "Hi everyone, we need X amount of drivers to help fill in the rest of the roster," instead of having just fill-ins that aren't here or aren't active.
well, and for me, I would kind of like to see it if it gets to growing. I want to see, other individuals, like other account holders that are not within, Sigma Arca, Sigma Bridge to Cup. We've grown exponentially that it's hard to say, oh yeah, let's just throw Nate Newman in and remove him from, this and that to put him in Formula T, which we could. But how many people could you do that with? It'd be hard. So I'd like to see, maybe we can try to do some advertising to get people signing up for the iRacing side of things. I mean, so many of the folks that have signed up for this enjoy it because it's NR2003, and there's some people that have this preconceived, stigma against iRacing because it's subscription based and
right. And I guess that's kind of why I want to do this. So then it's a little bit more like, guys, no. Look, you don't have to do nothing. I got it all. You can just give me names. I can take care of the rest of it.
Right.
You don't even have to have iRacing to be part of the championship. I can do it all. Like,
So
you just have to, like, the most people would have to give me is a name and maybe 3 colors.
well, and I do want to highlight it too to the viewers that I'm trying to keep our ladder system limited. Like if like I'll put up an example. LFG Motorsports with You and What Army and Chaz Chadwick, it's the same account. It's the same person. It's Vinewood Undead. That's who owns or who is Chaz Chadwick and You and What Army. I would say let's limit them from creating a third account or a third driver.
Yeah, like, I kind of feel bad about making a third cording with Taylor, but I also feel like it helps us with what we're trying to show people
Well, and
a
then
little.
I guess an outstand a bystander could argue that I've got 4 technically. I've got 4 shingles out there that I'm holding down the fort for, because it's not like my brother is on the Discord server. It's not like my mom's on the Discord server, and I've got them in the cars because they've been there all these years, and eventually the time will be right for where I'll retire them. It'll be a
Exactly.
season worthy of retiring on. Do a Peyton Manning and call your shots and hang up the hat kind of thing.
Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a case where all of the shingles retire in one. It could be a case of we're slowly bringing people in, and we've had room to take one out this year, and then next year 2, and then the third year the last one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not that we would take Jacob Schenkel out, because that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't be as fun.
Okay, next round of pit stops underway.
And we've got our fight. Oh, I guess I keep forgetting I'm delayed here. I was going to say, we've got to fight for our lead, too.
Ooh, Al Bunch has flipped the script a little bit as he's able to stretch it a little longer. Now Al Bunch is back on schedule with Atley Weiss, but he unfortunately lost position to Atley Weiss. So Weiss came out on top in that head-to-head matchup there, and I think we'll get the final laugh since he's going to roll out of here with the advantage still on Al Bunch, even though they're going to be on equal tires and equal fuel. Right there. Yeah, so Atley Weiss, he won the first little battle here by pitting early, getting tire advantage, and passing Al Bunch for the lead. Al Bunch, I think, realized that pitting early that first time, kind of a short-lived advantage, cost him more on the long run here. But yeah, no, as to getting seats filled for the Formula T Series, my vision would be if we could try to get another group of people, potentially, iRacing hobbyists that may have, some skin in the game on painting iRacing.
Yeah.
Or
They might have that little bit more of an itch to be like, okay, you're using me as an AI. That's cool.
Right. No, and I think that's kind of where it comes down to us trying to promote the series and get more people interested. And if we wanted to make it a proper Sigma, staple rather than just a spin-off, I feel like we need to figure out, okay, currently we've got the NR hobbyists. Everyone that's joined, I think it's safe to say, are NR hobbyists. Myself, one of the, the oddities of being an iRacing / NR2003 hobbyist. Apparently, it's not very common, is what I've
I feel
kind of
like
learned.
the type of people we're aiming for are, and it's going to be a broad spectrum. It's motorsports enthusiasts that want to see themselves in these scenarios, or at least enjoy being part of it, that enjoy a little bit of like role play. I'm gonna straight up just steal something we've coined in Carmen's series, because it's a broad term for what all of this style of thing is. It is racing D&D.
No, it's
That is
like
what this.
I had a coworker that I was talking to, and she said she played D&D, and I was like, oh, well, I have my own NASCAR D&D is basically what I told her. I tried to
It's
explain it to her.
That's what we've coined it as over there.
Mhm.
Is D&D NASCAR, because like that's basically what it is. You're using the money you're getting from races to spend it on your team or yourself to upgrade your stuff, and then we can make up stories as we go. Like a prime example, one of my drivers over there, I had a female driver and I wanted to have her take a break because I too wanted to take a break from it. So I had her get pregnant. Things don't have to be always like that, but it's nice to generate stories and create stuff for you and I to talk about in the broadcast.
Right.
And I feel like if people understands a little bit more like racing D&D, where it's like, yeah, you're not really doing anything, you're just watching, but like you do have an impact a little bit with, as long as you're like talking and interacting and being part of the group.
Well, and I think there is it. I don't know if the word is endorphins. Isn't that your brain stimulant that when something
Yeah,
good happens, people get those endorphins when they see their car out front leading, and they actually do enjoy watching their car win because
it, mhm.
it's like watching a horse race. You put your bets down, your bets on the table. The bet is your guy's gonna win. Well, by the end of the day, after 42 horses run the laps, only one can come out on top. So,
Right.
and
And go ahead, continue.
it's ever so unpredictable because you never know how it's going to play out.
Well, and like prime example, like you and I were talking about, iRacing seems to be even more random than NR with winning.
Right? The parity's
I've run
there.
races. I've run 3 races. I have 3 different pole sitters and 3 different winners. Like, and these are road courses we're talking about. Like, that doesn't happen regularly in real life. You don't typically see it. Like, let's be real. Most of the time on road course events, it's pretty form a line and hope you have a better pit strategy than everybody else.
True.
But these guys are actually like racing it out, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Like, yeah, sometimes on the road courses they get a little spread out, but that's road course racing, like I said. But
Atley's gonna
most part, great.
see. This is the Indianapolis I signed up for. This is why this track has stayed on the schedule untouched. We've had potential photo finishes here, just like that could have been if that was the final lap. Chadwick barely led the lap there over Atley Weiss, and side by side the drafting, the action. It's to me this is my favorite track. It sucks that it's at the end of the year, but at least it gets you kind of hyped up to watch that last race of the season because of the history that is Indianapolis.
Well, it goes back to what we were saying before about how like it's fun to like end. It's awesome to see a series end the season at a marquee event,
Mm-hmm.
like prime example, or a marquee venue, I guess. is what I mean to say. Like, for example, people love Petit Le Mans because Road Atlanta is a fun track to go watch some racing at. And it's got history here in America. Like, it wouldn't mean as much to the sports car fans if they decided, you know what, we're going to end the season on the streets of Belle Isle this year. We're going to end the season on Belle Isle because why not?
Yeah, it didn't quite
Sports
carry
car,
the same
yeah, it doesn't carry that same, like, oomph to it.
prestige.
And it's like, yeah, it doesn't carry that same prestige as, hey, we're ending. Imagine if they had Al Bunch on a box of Wheaties.
Don't give me any ideas. I could go do that in a heartbeat on GIMP.
The, the Wheaties, the Al Bunch Wheaties sponsorship would go so hard. Let's be real.
See, and I've got all the primary schemes pretty much finished up, so I'm hoping to get a lot of secondary and possibly even tertiary schemes put together for 2025, so that we've got kind of a mixture of multiple cars which haven't been seen in the likes of, man, I used to have multiple schemes back in 2015.
You were
So
able to do it. It was when I showed up. Like the year after I showed up, we couldn't do it anymore. We had
well,
too many people.
well, yeah, and it grew to four different series. So I'm trying to set the focus on Cup, try to raise the bar with Cup just a little bit. It doesn't mean we can't do multiple paint schemes in ARCA, Truck, Bridge to Cup, but I don't expect to see near as many, you know, usually in Xfinity, yeah, they do run different
They
schemes
do
once
run
in a
some
while,
alternates, but not a lot.
not a lot. ARCA
It's usually
usually,
based around where the sponsor is at. If they roll into a track where the sponsor is local-ish, then yeah, they have some sort of like special paint scheme, or like Allgaier, they had a special kind of different scheme for Phoenix for him for running the championship. Like typically his car doesn't have a giant corn cob on the side. Like that was kind of their unique scheme for that.
well, and I kind of missed the ship on that one. I've done the last couple years where if a champion had tied up the championship early, that I would actually do up a special paint scheme for them. Jimmy Johnson had got a special scheme when he tied it up one race early. Will Power tied up the championship a race early. Al Bunch, your first ever driver to tie up the championship 3 races early. And it's because he has pretty much max pointed almost 90% of the races here in the double points chase finish of the year. It's crazy. Um, Throughout the regular season, it just seemed like he had some bad luck spells here and there. But I think he finally shook that monkey off his back, and it's all clicking. He's putting together the best stretch of races, best, top fives almost every week here in the chase. In the double point stretch at the end of the year, it's been unbeatable level of talent there from Al Bunch. But of course, there's 41 other drivers out there, and they're tired of seeing Al Bunch right there in front of them. So I think there's a little bit of added incentive here for the likes of Atley, Weiss, and even Chaz Chadwick with 0 wins on the season, trying to get at least 1 win to end 2024. I'm impressed with Cam Jordan. It's his last race. He's kind of in a Riley Herbst situation, and how ironic that he's got Monster as his primary sponsor. He's unfortunately going to get let go from TRD but it's already been confirmed he's taken that Monster Energy sponsor with him over to Tyler Shangle Racing. So from one powerhouse team to another powerhouse team, Cam Jordan, he not skipping a beat. He's going to keep on rolling with best equipment that he can possibly get.
Well, hold on. One thing we haven't even talked about. One thing, Jacob.
What's that?
This is the ending of an era for you.
Yeah, the Sylvania Cup Series.
I just happened to like look up above the ticker and I saw Sylvania Cup Series sitting in front of me and I'm like, huh, that's gonna be different next year.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna have Sylvania up there.
Yeah, thanks
It
for
just
pointing that out.
Yeah, I don't know, something about it. I looked at it and it hit me and I was like, wow, huh. I've been here 3 years and it's always been Sylvania.
Yeah, I'm excited for the evolution of our series. I've been kind of half saying everything this year. It's like half the Sylvania Cup, half the Sigma. I think this, this past month has kind of been the unofficial transition to everything Sigma. But this was the last race under the Sigma banner, and going out with style here. Hopefully, we have a good winner to leave off on a good note.
It'd be cool if we could get a first-time winner out of it. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Let's see if the guys. I mean, obviously, Chaz Chadwick's been winning in the series. Al Bunch, Cam Jordan has. I want to say Cam Jordan has won in the Cup side. Or has he? He is a rookie this year. Zero wins for Cam Jordan. Let's go back to 2023 just to double check. Oh, that's right. Cam Jordan was in the 54 car in 2023. He had 2 wins, so it's actually getting harder to find drivers that have not yet won, as so many drivers, the parity has allowed for just about everyone to win that makes it up into this cup level.
Well, and I feel like that's part of why we kind of needed to introduce the aging thing, is so that we can potentially start seeing guys that haven't made starts get to, or even had a chance to run a season up here,
Right.
can potentially have a chance to run in Cup one day.
Well, there you've got Taden Berggren here, who has never won on the Cup side of things. So top 10 right now. He's actually your highest running Chevy, your highest winning, non-race winner. And that would be a first-time winner. Man, as you go through the field, obviously Braden Varga is pretty new to the series. He has not yet won, but it's just a matter of time. Bradley Ream. So there's a third driver. Lucas Holmes would be 4th. Tom Cording would be your 5th. Belafon 6th. I think Jack Ross is winless. 7, 8, 9, 10 right there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so about 15 cars that have never won a Cup race here. They've caught the 13 here, lap traffic. Whoa, 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 whoa.
I think one interesting thing we have here is we're not like, yeah, we're using a lot of the numbers you see on Sunday, but like, honestly, we really don't. Oh no! I just got to the. Wow.
Yeah,
That was, ooh,
I know.
okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Ooh.
Yeah, in case some of you might have noticed, there is a slight delay. James is
Yeah,
watching the stream along with you guys, so whenever I
it,
say something, it's maybe about 15-second delay to where he actually catches that part of the race.
the reason we do that is because unfortunately, whenever Jakey shares his screen with me, it really kills the product for you guys, and
We're
I kind of hate it for both you guys and Jacob.
we're at
So
45
it
frames
makes it
per
easy.
second right now, so I'm amazed at how.
Yeah, we both know if you would have shared your screen with me for this race, we'd be doing maybe 15 at best.
And the race would take what would feel like three times as long to actually get through it.
Yeah, which is funny because they're still turning the same times, but because of the lag, it makes it just or the frame rate drops. It makes it a bit longer.
Well, this would be one of those moments of a driver, like you were saying in the aging system. John Roman, this is his final Cup start. He's only been able to rack up, I think, about 4 or 5 wins in his career, dating back to 2011. John Roman had stated winning the Daytona 500 this year was kind of his home run. You know, Grand Slam, getting that big crown jewel
Get that
event.
monkey off his back.
Yeah, because even then he had broke a winless streak that was ginormous just last year. So coming here and winning Daytona, that was kind of all she wrote for the career. Is what he kind of stated, that he's happy to hang up the hat at the end of this year, opening it up to allow for more more drivers to move up the ranks. Now, where that gets interesting, this 53 car is going to be chartered next year. That's another topic that we have kind of skirted around. That's very important, very valid. With this last race, there's a lot on the line here tonight.
I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob, because maybe I'm not the only one with this like thought in their head. Charter system kind of came about because a lot of us had extra cash laying around. A lot of it.
So let me think. What did I intentionally? I did the charter system, and yes, it's a lot to do with.
The fact that a lot of us have money and it's like, what are you even doing with it? Oh, whenever somebody new comes in, we max them out.
Well, the thing is, yeah, and
I feel like that's kind of a bit of a problem. Like, I feel like a few of us came in, did that, and we've had no check
there's a lot
since.
coming down the pipeline, and I'm not sure where I stand on upgrades in the Cup Series. Now, I am perfectly, I mean, throughout, ARCA trucks, Bridge to Cup's kind of a gray area, but I'll actually ARCA's the gray area. More so trucks and Bridge to Cup, I will be open to the upgrades being a little bit more consistent. But with the Cup side of things, I think we need to start looking into a regression system to where, okay, so at the end of the year, your points you finish so and so in the points. This is going to affect your ratings significantly or something.
Well, and I
And
feel like I feel like that's a bit of a double-edged sword, unfortunately,
because the
because there's
people at
always
the
that.
front get
Yeah,
boosted.
yeah, that's well, and the problem is if you do it the reverse way, it looks weird.
Yeah.
It looks all of a sudden like Al Bunch is garbage, and somebody that's been running 30th suddenly is like amazing.
So here's kind of where the preseason testing, I was thinking we might end up just throwing all the cars. It might be like 2 groups of like 23 if we have more than 42 cars. Could be 2 groups of 30. But we can make it, you know, the first round will be, everyone will be at, you know, base stats 40 to 60. And we'll just run practice. We won't run the races, we'll just run practice. We'll take the timesheets from those practices and match them up to the final, you know, points results. And this could be a little sketchy, but if you hear me out, the point standings will be, you know, it'll be the main focus, and then we'll kind of pair up those preseason practice results together and kind of tweak from there.
So, funny enough, you're doing this with the ratings. It's very similar to what I'm planning to do with Formula T, not for the ratings, but for car number.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm doing the format for Formula T where it's based on like championship. Like
Right.
right now, I don't have a 1. And even when we roll into 2025 and I have a reference championship to go off of, nobody's going to be 1 next year. I don't like the idea of somebody being 1 when nobody has actually won a championship.
I get it. Yeah, no, it's kind of like Supercross, Motocross, where if you've won the championship, you get the number 1 plate.
Yeah. And because we're introducing it, yeah, I'm running the testing races as the 2024 championship, but it feels wrong to award the numbers off of it.
You're on season 0, so it's like prior. It's the prelude. You're gonna have.
That's kind of what that's exactly why I was like, I'm not gonna renumber because this is just the season 0 to set us up so we have stuff to go off of for season 1.
Yep, and eventually you'll have the inaugural season, and that will be the year that you actually award the number 1 plate.
Yep, which will be 2025. Thankfully.
Gotcha.
But so our 2024 champ, whoever that is at the end of this, is not going to be number 1 rolling into 2025. At least that's not the plan as of current. It'll be depending on if that person is actually like in the roster. If the roster ends up staying marginally the same as what from my testing, except for our like a few people coming in, then yeah, I'll go off of it and I'll give the champion the number 1 and go from there. But it'll really be based on how we end up doing the roster.
Wow, there's some lap traffic fiasco going on right here. It's getting a little hard for Atley to hold that lead and fight to get by the lap traffic. Ooh, wow, there's a swap going here for the lead. Chaz Chadwick takes the lead there. That's kind of sketchy. We're closing in on halfway here. 5 laps short of halfway. Next round of green flag pit stops will be at about lap 111.
That is exactly when I will take my lead. When they start rolling into the pits, I will step on out so you can cover that.
Yeah, so no, in other words, I think there's a lot coming down the pipeline. I know the earnings, the charter. I think what we're gonna do is people will avoid, you know, any form of charter fee. There's not gonna be charter fees. You're gonna have to be, you know, if you're wanting to run a full-time season unchartered, that's where, you know, the price might come in and stuff. It's gonna
okay. Can I propose a bit of a thought I have? Maybe an initial
like a retainer
for the charter,
like a retainer
Yeah.
fee for the charter.
Yeah, because that's what feels fair, quote unquote. If we're gonna tell people, hey, if you want to be an open car running full season in Cup, you got to pay up. But if you're chartered, you're safe. You don't have to pay Jack. That seems kind of dirty.
Yeah.
Kind of wrong.
No, I've been thinking of that too. I haven't thought on it for a while, but once I get back into the swing of thinking about it, there's a lot of those details that I was gonna iron out.
I'd say maybe like if you have a charter, the price of a full season entry is 75% of what an open would cost.
Right. Well, and here's the thing.
I feel like that makes sense because then at least something is coming out of these teams' pockets per charter. Because like KBM, for example, we both know they're gonna probably. I'm gonna invest a ton of money into the trucks, and my cars are probably gonna rip off wins. Okay, that's a ton of money rolling in again.
And the thing is, every team's charter is gonna be fluid, meaning even though you hold the charter, you have to finish top 32 in the points again to maintain it. So even though you're paying, you're getting the premium, you're getting the the premium price since you finish top 35 in the points. You get kind of a kickback for being
right. It's that 25% kickback of being like, hey, good job.
Yep, we need you in the field.
Keeping yourself. Yeah,
you're one of those drivers that keep the seats filled, So that's kind of where I'm at with our charter system. So honestly, after the points are tallied, I will be able to give a proper rundown on our first ever roster set of charters, and I couldn't really give a price tag until I see what people's earnings look like. And so what would happen is then I would look at everyone's earnings dependent on how much money they have. That would kind of give us the price tag, and then you could add that other quarter for people wanting to get into Cup.
Well, and I feel like that comes with the people like the team owners like myself, where it's like, you got to pay for the charters. Well, why would we make the drivers pay for the charters?
Right.
When,
but I'm gonna end up. It's gonna be coming out of the driver since the driver makes the money.
Well,
the team.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Was like, it more so comes out of probably like one, maybe two drivers per team, really. At the end, in terms of like at the end of the day.
Nope. As it was nice that I got all those paint schemes rendered last night. That means I can just sit down and focus on doing calculator work here tonight. I know there's a lot of people asking when the next earning report's going to be released, and as soon as I release it, and I may actually take you. It'll be reflected on your account when I post it. All the charter fees and all that stuff will be worked out tonight or whenever I get it done, so that when you see that, that's how much money you have left for upgrades or tweaks and modifications. Or if you wanted to expand, I don't think, I think with teams it's kind of hard to say. I might go in and actually modify the earnings to reflect a team, coming up to Bridge to Cup. It's usually
I was gonna say, because like
one-time fee. I mean, once you have the team there, you've got it.
because like for example, I don't know if you've combined them yet, but you could probably combine all of the cordings into just one. Because it's all gonna go to those three anyways. So, or the team. So you really could put those three together as KBM in the earnings report, just to make your life easier in the case of like people like me, where it's like all your drivers are on the same team basically. Like you're gonna be using the same money from at least like one guy to upgrade everybody. Just use it from the team account.
Yeah. Well, green flag pit stops underway. Weiss now dipping down pit road here. He waited an extra lap, so it looks like he flip-flopped to the alternate strategy this time. We'll see how that pans out. Honestly, it's almost right where they're going to be nearly run out of gas if this race were to go into overtime.
And with them entering pit lane, Jacob, I'm going to step out of the booth here and let you call the rest of this amazing race here.
Well, thanks for hopping in, dude. Hopefully you'll be
Yeah,
able to check in on it periodically and see how the race is going. And
I feel like maybe you and I should work out something where maybe we do a bit of like a quote-unquote podcast to talk about some of the stuff we're working on in the background.
if time allows it.
If time allows it, it'd be nice. Just to give everybody like one actual like video to be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like we've given everybody a lot of information and it's very understandable, but I feel like it's been very
murky.
Sporadic. I wouldn't say murky. I'd say sporadic. It's like every like 5, 6, 2, 3, 4 races we talk about stuff here and there. And I just think people might enjoy one video if we have the time, where it's like, this is what we're planning for 2025.
Yep. No, I think even
give us your thoughts.
As long as we kind of tally together and I mean even just posting things so that we got it all in one spot so that we can go back and say, okay, this is what we were thinking. We can, edit it or tweak it.
And I'm planning to start the process of fixing my corner where the background series is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work on fixing that so it reflects just Formula T.
Okay.
And has the similar things that like the Cup tab and stuff have. So that way it's a one-stop shop for everybody.
Nice.
But all right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of the race, and I'll see y'all down the line.
Talk to you later, James. Later. So Al Bunch rotates out to the lead here, and still more drivers taking pit stops. I feel like a lot of these drivers are stretching the strategy a little bit to try and get some extra fuel just in case the scenario of a green-white checkers were to unfold here today. Al Bunch pitted earlier. Atley stayed out later. We saw this strategy kind of pan out in favor of Atley during the first stint, where Al pitted first, Atley pitted later. You don't really see the effects of it until later in the run when the tires start to fall off on the 81. Al Bunch will hold the lead for now, but we'll see where degradation might factor in as to where Atley will catch up to him. Lap traffic has been pretty steady here to start the second half of the race here. Al Bunch is going to get shuffled back around to being your leader. It'd be Atley in second, Chaz Chadwick third, Monty Shangle in fourth, John Roman fifth, Jacob Shangle sixth, Cam Jordan seventh, Kellen Relic eighth, Ewan Wettermy ninth, and it'll be Alan Taylor up to 10th. Braden Varga with a top 15 run so far. Oh wow, Al Bunch just turned his fastest lap, a 49.048. Still not faster than the 48.8 set by Jacob Shangle, but closing up on potentially flirting with that fast lap time. And we're officially down to 101 laps left to go here in our 2024 season. Lead has been shared amongst a handful of drivers here today. We've seen Atley out front. We've seen Al Bunch, as he is right now, up front. Cam Jordan led for a while. And obviously one of those storylines that we've been keeping our eyes on, your 2023 champion, Atley Weiss, in what'll be his last full-time start in Sigma. We have not ruled out part-time starts. We might still see Atley make some marquee events in 2025, and who knows from there, but he's going to be honing his target on bigger and better things, focusing on racing short tracks to revive those short tracks in the racing universe. Got a call from a very high figure in the motorsports community asking him to come race the short track circuits all around the world and help rebuild those short tracks that have been long gone and lost to father time. Who knows, maybe we'll see some of those tracks that he's helping revive make it to the schedules of our Sigma series in the future. So it's been a great run. We've seen a lot of exciting races. Atley, a champion by all means, wanting to get that one last win to go out like Peyton Manning, win, go out on top in your final race, final game. Obviously for Peyton Manning it was a championship, winning the Super Bowl. But I mean, if you beat Al Bunch here today, it'll feel just as good as winning a championship, I imagine. So I think he'll take whatever he can get. If it's a win, it's a win. Just like that, it gets by Al Bunch. A little bit of help there from Tyler Aspinall. That puts Al Bunch behind some lap traffic here. Atley Weiss to the lead with 99 laps to go. Now, there's still going to be 3 more pit stops, possibly 2. Yeah, so about 2 more pit stops. We have been seeing quite a few mechanical errors here today. That was a brake failure for the 43 of Taden Bergeron, which is crying shame, as he had a great run going so far today. That could be the end of the race. Oofty. The 20 of Nate Newman had a clutch failure. Yeah, Atley is retiring from full-time competition. So kind of like, Martin Truex Jr. is retiring from full-time. It's, you know, it's farewell, but it's not exactly goodbye. So he's got a lot planned, especially as being the maestro behind Project Roar for this TRD Toyota team. As it's going to be interesting to see how those rookies duke it out. Next round of pit stops will likely be about lap 150. See, the last couple races we have had this battle pan out. And Kansas, it was Atley leading very slightly over Al Bunch until disaster struck on the 19. This, to me, I think if we can have this battle go all the way to lap 220 today, it's going to put a nice, neat little ribbon on what has been a stellar 2024 season. What's going to be interesting is the fact that Atley Weiss won here last year to win the championship. Obviously not going to win the championship here tonight. But he could be undefeated at a track if he were to win here today. 2 for 2 without a loss at Indianapolis would be a remarkable feat. Most drivers can't say they're undefeated at any track anywhere. You know, often there's some tracks that they've got, you know, an edge over the rest of the field. And obviously, Atley seems to have that edge when it comes to Indianapolis here. And, I mean, that's a perfect track to have an edge. The prestige and the history surrounding Indianapolis to be that good at a track that's that, you know, that stellar means something. Al Bunch giving him a bit of a bump there. Atley holds the lead. I'm just hoping it doesn't get dirty for this overall win here today. Al Bunch has been playing pretty smooth. Not been racing too hard. Atley kind of figured that the 81 was a little bit faster there, and I think opened the door to let him by. The double-edged sword to that is now Al Bunch is going to burn more gas out front leading, as Atley can kind of sit back and save his tires, save his fuel. Yeah, the goal is going to be to make it to lap 150. If they can make it to lap 150, they should be good to go all the way to the finish by about 4 laps in the green for that last stint. Crazy, we have not seen a yellow flag here today. This race is blitzing by quickly. Which is all you can ask for, is having a nice clean race, a good competitive race with multiple lead changes. As we have seen already, the lead has swapped hands numerous times amongst about 5 different leaders. And it's kind of the best of the best that we've seen from this season, putting on the show. I'm excited to see 2025 with all the new entries moving up into Cup. They'll be fighting for their first career wins. As of right now, so many of your field are winners. Heck, I don't know of anyone in the top 20 that hasn't won, it seems like. Ooh, Atley gets right back by Al Bunch there. See how that one unfolded. Man, he makes a mad charge into turn 1 and carries that momentum right on by. Oh, I guess you are in the top 20. I missed that. Top 15 with Braden Varga there. So yeah, Varga would be your top runner in the field that has not yet won a race. But it's a matter of time. You might as well just consider him almost a winner at this point with how consistent that number 9 has been. But from there on, you just don't have very many. I think I counted in the field only about 15 drivers that have not yet won in Cup competition here. Tyler Landa got his first career win this year in his rookie campaign. You know, eventually, everyone that, you know, gets their first win, it's going to run out, and then you're going to have a whole field of drivers with wins. So, in order to get first-time winners, you need more drivers to start showing up. Bradley Ream, pretty new. This is his rookie kind of onboarding, as next year will be his first full season of action, graduating from Bridge to Cup as the champion this year. And we'll be fighting for that highly coveted Rookie of the Year, along with the likes there of Braden Varga. Dave Steele Jr. is going to make the move up. You'll be looking at potentially a few other rookies that may be getting more reps and potentially, depending on how they do out of the gate, could be fighting for that Rookie of the Year honor as well. To stay Rookie of the Year eligible, you have to finish no more than 21 races, or half the races. It's a 42 race schedule. So 21 races. If you did 22 races, you are no longer a rookie driver. So, and it's going to be based on points tallied. So the more races you run, the more likely you could be Rookie of the Year eligible. So, like, for example, Braden Varga is a good example to kind of highlight. He's, you know, been running up the points. He was able to get up to 30th in the points with only 20 races run this season. But because he didn't go over 21 races, he is still eligible and will be fighting for Rookie of the Year next year, and has been able to get more experience in this car. So he's got a bit of an edge up on the rest of the rookie contenders and might be a shoe-in. You never know. Could be a shoe-in for Rookie of the Year honors in 2025. But you could look at it a couple ways next year. If a driver is competing for Rookie of the Year and they look like, you know, it's like way out of their league, not achievable, you know, they could step out of their Cup seat and go back down and race Bridge to Cup or ARCA or whatever they, you know, decided to do, and then wait till next season comes around and still be rookie eligible and try to fight for Rookie of the Year again. So to me, it's crazy anymore. Your rookie honors are starting to become more of a popularity contest. I, for one, would like to keep Rookie of the Year honors tied to a season of achievements rather than, oh, well, this person, you know, I think we should give it to person A or person B because of the, you know, their success is off the track or this or that or whatever. So, no, it's going to be the way it should be. Rookie of the Year is going to be dependent on how well you race from start to finish on a season. It's not very often like last year where you actually have the Rookie of the Year also double as the series champion. And that's what we had with Atley in 2023. He got the call up to Joe Gibbs Racing. Kind of got hopscotched out of Bridge to Cup. And with his success, he was off and rolling, fighting for wins, and even tied up the championship and Rookie of the Year honors here at Indianapolis just 1 year ago. Could see that happen again, you never know. New seasons always bring with it their own unique storylines that are unpredictable. And I think this year's storyline that no one saw coming was sheer and utter dominance from Al Bunch. Now, this year, definitely a little different than most years we've seen. So much parity throughout Sylvania Cup's history that this is the first time ever that we've had a driver with double-digit wins. That's never happened before. The closest we got was 9 wins with Will Power back in 2022. That just goes to show you that the series has kind of been built off of parity, and forced to have an outlier of a season like this where Al Bunch just went on a rampage and won every single chance he could get. And the scary part is there was about 6 races that he should have won where he was out front leading and got tangled up with lap traffic. And so if you were to add those wins in, he'd be sitting at about 22 wins strong. And that title, instead of being tied up at 3 races, he could have had it tied up 6 races to go in the season. So, yeah, no, it's been it's a year, and no one can take anything away from Al Bunch on how strong of a season it's been. And just like that, back to the lead. Al Bunch takes it over. This has been fun to watch these two swap the lead for the last 20 laps here. It's really a 2-dog fight at the front of the field as you've got the 64 car about 7 seconds back. Chaz Chadwick, John Roman, Monty Shangle, Kellen Relic, Ewan Woodarmy, Cam Jordan, and Liz Shangle. So you've got 3 Shangles in the top 10. And I think that's another bingo card. A bingo card square that I'm sure Al Bunch will mention here in a moment. But as the season dwindles to an end here, we do have our off-season kind of fun event still planned. I expect to do the annual Loser League All for One, the ALL, where it's all these drivers with 0 wins fighting for their first career win. I think it would be fun to actually do like a voters vote deal too on that one, and maybe see who would think gets their first career win this holiday season. Usually I do that around mid-December, somewhere usually around Christmas time. My new job, I get holidays off, so there might be more opportunities for me to do, like, well, maybe a Black Friday event too. You don't know. I know that we were talking about doing cubes as the cube mod is a one-off deal. Wouldn't that be funny for Black Friday to do a product placement cube race or something? It'd be different. Side by side down the front stretch, here goes Atley Weiss and Al Bunch. Atley Weiss on the attack, Al Bunch on the defense. And the attack power there from Atley Weiss just a little bit too strong for Al Bunch to defend this time around. Now these two, they're working it to perfection right here. They keep swapping the lead. By doing this, they're saving fuel. Honestly, it's actually given both of them kind of a square advantage here. Atley Weiss goes up front, burns a little bit of fuel, drops back. Al Bunch goes up front, leads, burns a little bit more fuel. And the person spending the least amount of time at the lead, which is hard to justify because it seems to be pretty well split between the two of them, should be able to stretch it a little further depending on how much fuel they have saved. So this, we might start seeing them stretch it past lap 150, and we could get them, you know, a little bit more gas in the tank in case of a green-white checkered that could potentially rear its ugly head at us. Wonder if there's been any more retirements other than the 6 of Chris Hergeson. It looks like that's about it. Atley Weiss, I don't know if he needs to be concerned. His teammate in the 20 had a clutch failure. Hopefully that's not a concern for the rest of the TRD Toyotas. Yeah, to think about that what if scenario. What if Al Bunch had won all those races that he could have potentially won where he led so many laps? If he were at 22, potentially even 23 wins, he would have done something that had not been seen since 1967. And let's put that into perspective. That would have been about the 16th year of NASCAR's existence, where Richard Petty had 27 wins in a 49 race season. So obviously, I mean, he's done something this year that hasn't been done since 1972. 27 would be relatively difficult to do with the strength of field that we've got. But still crazy to say that it's not, you know, it's not out of the question. It's not unusual. If you even look at progression of normal NASCAR, first season was 5 years in, where you had a driver with double-digit wins at 12 wins for Herb Thomas back in 1953. He was your champion that year too. 1955, so just about 6th year into NASCAR's existence, Tim Flock had 18 wins. Seventh year actually, so it took us 15 years to see a driver with double digits. It only took NASCAR 5 years And then it was pretty steady at that point, where it was Herb Thomas in 53, 54, Tim Flock in 1955, 56, 57. Those are all seasons where the winningest driver had double-digit wins. Pit stops happen again here as Atley staying out a little bit longer than Al Bunch. Seems to be a trend here that Atley is able to stretch it just a little bit further. Al Bunch looks like he'll be good to go to lap 223 on his strategy, but Atley Weiss might be good to go to about lap 225 with his strategy. Wow, that puts into perspective there that Al Bunch actually loses an entire lap while pitting there. Atley Weiss staying out, has not yet pitted, but it's going to be a matter of time before he does. 70 laps left to go in the 2024 campaign, and there we go. Atley Weiss coming down pit road now in his last full-time start in the Sigma Sylvania Cup Series. Going to be interesting to see where he shakes out relative to Al Bunch, as he had stayed out so many laps extra here. He's got the advantage of having one of the top 2 pit stalls here. That gives him an easy pit road in and out. Getting the service done on the 19 there, and he's going to be rolling back out. And let's go out and find where Al Bunch is on track. He's just now entering turn 1, as Atley should be on the service lane in between turn 1 and 2. There he's coming out now. He's going to be behind Al Bunch, but he's going to have the advantage of fresher tires and a longer run on his fuel tank. Now for Al Bunch, without any drafting help, he's kind of hung out to dry here at the moment. Atley too, without much drafting help, is going to have to work his way on catching up to Al Bunch, but it could be factored in that lap traffic holds up the 81 of Al Bunch and allows Weiss to close that gap sooner than later. he is coming up on the lap traffic of Taden Berggren. Alrighty, there we go. Atley Weiss turns the quicker lap there that time and has started to catch up and close the gap to Al Bunch here a little bit. Lap traffic holding up Al Bunch as Atley Weiss clear of his lap traffic at the moment. Al Bunch trying desperately to work his way around Taden Berggren. Hopefully push doesn't come to shove here. The gap shrunk in half there as Atley knocked out a full 1.5 second advantage there. He's more than caught up. He's going to make the pass here before long. Atley on the inside making the charge here. He's going to settle in behind Al Bunch for now. But I think Atley Weiss is in the catbird seat here as he's been able to stretch it longer on each pit round, therefore gets fresher tires. All it's going to come down to is the last pit stops that'll be coming. At lap 189, he's going to lose the lead to Al Bunch, who pits. Oh, and Atley just takes charge there, runs right through the 43 of Taden Berggren. That was gutsy. That was ballsy. And Atley not only gets the lead, but puts a huge gap between him and Al Bunch, due in part to the lap traffic. Al Bunch now having to deal with the number 5 of Jordan Walker. Man, what a move. Al Bunch finally gets by the lap traffic here, but the damage has already been done as Atley Weiss has stretched out the lead a little bit. Al Bunch starting to close back up though. Once those two get back together, it's going to be the drafting game again of who's going to save more fuel on the run. As much as I have been awarding Atley Weiss with making the right moves, he could potentially throw all that out the door here if he burns up too much fuel, which I think is why you're seeing the 81 closing that gap. Atley Weiss trying to play it smart, trying to save a little bit of extra fuel here and make it to his fuel numbers so that he doesn't have to worry about running out of gas on the potential chance of a green-white checkered here today at Indianapolis. By the end of the season here, the numbers tell it all. As you can see, Al Bunch fighting for what would be his 16th win on the season. Atley Weiss at the front here, trying to go for win number 4. Atley Weiss could also find himself maybe as high as 8th in the points by the end of tonight. Not as, it's kind of a far cry from his championship season last year, but it's still not a bad run. I mean, he won the championship last year with 4 wins to his name as well, so we were just on a whole nother bracket, a whole nother level here in 2024 with Al Bunch, as Atley Weiss was able to win the championship last year with 4 wins, 18 top 5s, and 30 top 10s. We're looking at stats this season. He didn't have quite the top 10 count. He had a little bit more DNFs to his name this season, whereas Al Bunch has actually had 30 top 10s, 24 top 5s, and 15, trying to go for 16 wins on the season. Yeah, it might not seem like it, but top 10s are huge, just about, even for, you know, even more so than wins in some cases. If you're consistently finishing top 10, there's no reason for you to not be in the title conversation. Obviously, a win counts for a top 10, so 15 of Al Bunch's top 10s were actually a win. So it goes to show you that half of his top 10s were in first place. If you took all those wins away, he would only have 15 top 10s on the season. Whereas Atley Weiss has 17 top 10s with his 3 wins at the moment. So then again, you can argue the fact that it really did come down to all those wins for Al Bunch, because 15 wins doubled his top 10 ratio. So it is an unusual year for sure. I think we'll look back the history books in a couple of years and realize that we had been witness to potentially one of the craziest seasons ever. And hopefully 2025 we don't have quite the stink up show like we did this year with Al Bunch. It's kind of hard to build upon this season for Al Bunch. What are you going to do again? Are you going to do it again next year? Like the SpongeBob, you want to see it? You want to see me do it again? I mean, opportunities there, he could, but with Jaguar, they're going to be extending to a 3-car team next season. Third car will be more so on a part-time, but more of a full part-time experience. It'll be interesting to see how strained the resources get for Jaguar and if they're going to continue this excellence that we've seen out of that camp. Ooh, Atley makes a dive on the inside of the 16 there of Jeffrey Gerald. We're about halfway through this fuel run here. Still no caution. Holy cow, man. This has usually been a wreck fest of a race every year. Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying there with a quadruple double season. Just short of 20 wins. You had 21 poles, 24 top 5s, 29, 30 top 10s, 4 DNFs, which of those DNFs, I think all 4 of them would have been a win had you not got tangled up with lap traffic. We have almost everyone in the top 10 with a win except for Chaz Chadwick, who's 5th. Ooh, we've got our first caution of the day. Caution on lap 167. And let's see exactly what happened here to Brian DeBlanc. Now this is a curveball that I don't think any of the teams wanted to see. They wanted to see this race go green all the way to the finish. And now, with Brian DeBlanc bringing out the caution here, well, it ain't his fault. The wreck happened in front of him and he had nowhere to go. Ooh, Braden Vargas involved in it. Well, I kind of jinxed that. I said that this race used to be a wreck fest every year, and we had to wait till lap 167, 166 to get our first caution of the day. So 37, Guido Piano gets run into here by Alan Taylor. And obviously, Indianapolis, kind of a self-cleaning track. All these drivers with nowhere to go. Oh, and there's where the second stint, unfortunately for Braden Varga, just missed the cue ball there. Bam. Quite a few flippers in this wreck. 37 of Guido kind of went flying through the air there. The 90 of Tom Cording goes flying through the air. Dang. Okay, so what happened to Andre Stefan? I thought... Okay, he was involved in this wreck too. That was after the fact? Where did he get the damage? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, he came into that way at the tail end of the wreck. They didn't clean off the track nearly quick enough, so that took out another couple contenders, including the 77 of Tyler Shangle. Wait, that was actually during all the wreck there. Okay. Okay, all the pieces are coming together now. Alrighty. So like I mentioned, this kind of puts a curveball for that pit strategy. But honestly, it might actually work out just fine where they could almost do it on one more stop. So... yeah, 49 laps, 37 laps is the distance. Al Bunch having a bit of a rough go here. Is he having mechanical failure? What's going on with Al Bunch? What's going on with Al Bunch? Is he out of fuel? The only thing it would never tell me is if drivers are out of fuel. I think Al Bunch... Dude, what the heck? That was too weird of a restart. I don't know. Better cautions was to blame there, but we're gonna throw off this restart and try again. Didn't want another caution. Okay, well, that shook things up a little bit. It's going to turn into a bit of a climb now for Al Bunch to come back from 15th place, as he basically spotted the field, half the field a spot there. All of our guys are on the lead lap. Still have 28 cars left running here, all of which are on the lead lap. Atley, we still your leader. Well, we'll throw on 3 extra laps of caution here today that we didn't exactly need. I guess after 167 laps of green flag racing that your drivers kind of get a little bit restless, maybe a little bit brain fog going on there. I don't know exactly what was going wrong there on Al Bunch. Apparently it was bad enough he actually had to make a pit stop here, so that's going to relinquish him all the way back to 26th. So he clearly had a problem with that 81 car, as it did not get going there on the restart. He's going to have to fight from 27th. Now with fresh tires and fuel, he can actually run a little bit further. He's going to be able to run to lap 211 before making the final pit stop. Atley, on the other hand, he was last on pit road on lap 169. So he would be making his final pit stop potentially in lap 206. Al Bunch could wait a little longer, just take a quick gas and go. This could get interesting. The fuel mileage, the numbers and all that, it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned, folks. Strategies might get a little bit topsy-turvy here in the last 45 laps of the season. Since things got shook up a little bit here, it's going to be Atley Weiss leading Chaz Chadwick, John Roman, Ewan Woodarmy, Kellen Relic, Lewis Trost, Liz Shangle, Tim Cording, Tristan Reams, Chris Harvey, Tyler Aspinall. Your top 10 rolling into the restart here. Lights are off on the pace car. Hopefully we have a clean start this time. Like mentioning already, it's going to be 27th for Al Bunch to come back from here. 28 cars left running. Retirements have grown from that first caution, first wreck of the day. Out of the race, you've got the 56 of Andre Stefan, the 77 of Tyler Shangle, 99 disqualified for not meeting race pace. That is the 99 of Daniel Paulus Jr., my bad. 28 of Alan Taylor, the 9 of Braden Varga, the 05 of Dalton Scott, the 90 of Tom Cording, the 85 of Brian DeBlank, the 37 of Guido Piano, fittingly finishing in 37th. Prior to that caution, you had the 6 fall out with a piston failure, the 09 disqualified, the 20 clutch failure, and the 3 and 51 also DQ'd for not meeting race pace. So 45 laps to go here as they roll to the front side of the track for the restart. It's going to be Chaz Chadwick on the outside of Atley Weiss here as they go roaring into turn 1. Is this going to be advantage Chaz Chadwick having that outside line? Seems to be an advantage, especially when he's got his teammate lined up right behind him. Atley losing the drag race right now as Chaz Chadwick has an opportunity to close the door, and closes the door he does. Chaz Chadwick takes over the lead here on lap 176. And I'm keeping a wider scope on the field with camera number 2 here to see just where Al Bunch may be in relative to the leaders. Luckily for Al Bunch, he's got the inside line, so that's going to help him move up through the field here. Atley Weiss looking to make quick work here of Chaz Chadwick. We already know the story. Chadwick, 0 wins on the season, would love to end it with a win. But it's going to be hard to keep Atley Weiss behind him. Atley has been strong this year, and he's just looking to end his full-time racing career on a high note here. John Roman, he's already retiring at the end of the year. A win would look even sweeter in your final race. So there's a lot of storylines that could develop here. Just in your top 3 alone, Chaz Chadwick trying to get his first win in the last race of the season. Atley Weiss in what would be his last race in full-time competition would love to be out on top. And John Roman retiring at the end of the season also would love to win in his final start. Oh no, Al Bunch had to pit again. There is something severely wrong with that 81 car. Making as many pit stops as he has had to. There's something chronically wrong. So the tables have flip-flopped here, whereas it was Atley Weiss that had a mechanical failure when racing against Al Bunch. Now it's Al Bunch having the mechanical failure when racing against Atley Weiss here today. For Al Bunch, it's definitely not game over. A quick caution as he's already off strategy. And we know he's got the speed. He's going to stay here in front of the leader. Could he potentially be conspiring to drop back and control the race in his own form with potentially dropping back to the leaders here and stirring the pot? I don't know. Guess we'll have to wait and see. What this has done, though, is open the floodgates for a what should be a finish for the season. It's going to be a barn burner here now, as Atley Weiss has got a little bit of competition to deal with. We haven't seen Atley struggle in the draft like this since he really hasn't had to deal with a whole bunch of drivers in the draft yet today, leading so much of the race as he has. And getting shuffled backwards here in the draft at the moment. This obviously being, you know, the final race of the season, it is also a crown jewel race on the schedule. It's a race that you want to have a trophy to take home. John Roman's already gotten one of those crown jewel wins this season from Daytona. He won the Daytona 500 earlier in the season. So there's a lot of crown jewel killers. A lot of these guys that kind of wait for the opportunity to go out and win those big marquee crown jewel events. Atley settled back down here, now on the attack again, making a move on Chaz Chadwick for what would be third. Whoa, Liz Shangle just drives it in there and gives the 19 a bit of a bump. Doesn't seem like Atley's car near as happy as it has been for the first half of this race. Struggling a little bit in the closing of this race. All in the meantime, John Roman out front, now leading over Kellen Relic, Chaz Chadwick in third. Wow, I wonder actually if Al Bunch knows that he can stretch the fuel. Did he pit? Okay, 176, so 44 laps is pushing it, man. I don't think he found his number. He should have pitted a lot later than what he did. Man, if you can go 44 laps, if he's going to save that much fuel, he's already running slower than the rest of the field. Dude, Al Bunch, I think, knew at that point that the race win may have been out of grabs. So pulling a strategy call like he has, we'll see. Definitely an angle I did not anticipate seeing, where he made a couple laps and pitted again, and now on the risk of going a lap down in 28th, but on an alternate strategy where he could maybe stretch it to the finish here. Who knows? We know that under average pace, they can go 37 laps on a run. Chadwick, your leader, John Roman, second, Atley Weiss third, Kellen Relic fourth. The rest of the field starting to get stretched out a little bit here as these three starting to cruise away with it, rather four. And I think for Al, he's going to be hoping for another caution to come his way. He's running fast enough laps to stay out on the lead lap though, so we'll have to see. See, honestly, this would have been right here where Al Bunch should have pitted to where he could make it to the finish. Maybe he can go 44 laps. Maybe they've been kind of hiding the fact that they can stretch it longer. I have seen a few races here at Indianapolis where they push the fuel mileage to the barren edge. What we know for certain, your top four here especially, everyone else that's currently running behind Al Bunch are going to have to pit again one more time to make it to the finish. Now Al Bunch has caught some lap traffic here. This is going to hold him up a little bit as he needs to get around 43 here of Taden Bergeron. Or perhaps maybe even he can take things into his own hand, bring out a caution here. Decides against it, which for his better judgment, I would not advise wrecking someone to bring out your own caution. That would be dirty. But now the lap traffic factors in here. The fastest lap actually now goes on over to that 87 there of Kellen Relic, who's running in fourth. He bested the 64 of Shangle by a little bit to get the fastest lap during the second half of the race here. LFG Motorsports running fourth and fifth right there behind this trio leading the way. John Roman has the lead at the moment, but Atley Weiss, I think, has the momentum to get by. There we go. Atley making the move for the lead here on lap 188. Oh, and he takes over the position with authority. We've seen him make those power moves all day today. Kind of roughing up the rest of the field as much as he can assert his spot and try to win this race today. Seeing vigor and aggression from Atley that we have not seen probably since last year, where he was a championship winner. He's made quick work of this 43 car before. He's drove into that door. You can see where the door is scuffed up. That was from Atley Weiss earlier today. See if he does it again. 43 gives him a wide berth. I think he's a little bit afraid of what Atley could do to him again there. So, and now Atley could potentially catch up to Al Bunch and put him a lap down here. But for all matters and intents and purposes, I think Al Bunch might just try to save fuel and run the rest of this race to the finish. It is going to be a monumental stretch, as 44 laps is not something we've seen anyone pull off today, especially Al Bunch, since he's been the guy that pits first every time. Seems like they had a bit of a fuel pickup error as they had to make a couple extra pit stops there. Also part of the reason why he had a struggle on that first restart, where he ended up dropping all the way back to 15th. Chadwick on the inside there of Kellen Relic for second. John Roman making the move as well. Kellen Relic stuck up high. Bradley Ream up into the top 10. A little bit of help there from Tim Cording in 8th. Louis Trost also in the top 10. That's crazy for Al Bunch. I think this could potentially be his worst race, possibly, in the double points chase. Where I was saying he's pretty much achieved 90% of the points that were up on the table through the double points chase. He had an opportunity here today. He had a car capable of winning, but that's slowly starting to slip away from him here after he had some fuel pickup issues with that 81. Had to make a couple unscheduled pit stops, and still out there right on the tail end of the lead lap. If he were to get a caution, he would maintain lead lap status here in 25th place. But in the meantime, there doesn't seem to be any cautions lingering to save Al Bunch from what could happen here. He does, however, have fuel mileage in his favor here, so if this thing does stay green, Al Bunch could potentially stretch it and gain all the ground he lost back up when everyone else pits, and he can stay out and baby it along. If I was Atley Weiss here, I would tread very carefully trying to make a pass on the 81 of Al Bunch. It's not like Al Bunch needs this win, but I honestly don't know the complete storyline on how Al Bunch went from leading this race to falling so far off to running on the last car on the lead lap. I mean, does he have an alternate angle here after those issues? Is he going to try to take matters into his own hand? I mean, just if I was Atley, I would maybe try to pass him with a 10-foot pole between the two of us. Just saying. The one good thing is for Atley, if he does put him a lap down, it'll make things a little bit harder. Even if a caution were to come out, he would have to get the lucky dog, and definitely Atley can advantage from having him put a lap down, but it's not exactly, you know, worth the risk of trying to go out there and put him a lap down either. Now this risk starts to factor in. The longer he's stuck behind the 81, the more likely the 18 of Chaz Chadwick is going to be to making a pass for the lead. So kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. Atley's got to fight quick and defend quick. Now on the defense, Atley under attack here. Chadwick on the inside. It's going to be a drag race down the front stretch. Is Atley going to actually gain enough momentum here to close the door? Not quite. Chadwick had an edge going into turn 1 there. Had a little bit of drafting help from his teammate Ewan Woodarmy. Kellen Relic gets shuffled back. Atley Weiss looks like he can settle back into third here if he takes the opening. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so this is first round of final pit stops as Chaz Chadwick and Ewan Woodarmy hit. Atley Weiss gets the lead back. Now, honestly, I don't know. I don't know where the best strategy lies. Atley might need to hop right on and pit this next lap just so he doesn't lose too much time to those that are pitting. You're not going to get the good of the tire advantage in such a short run here at the finish. The fact that they pitted with 22 laps to go just goes to show you, I don't think Al Bunch is going to have enough in the tank to make it to the finish here today. You got another taker down pit road. Jacob Schengle pitting right on the move there he was trying to make on Atley Weiss with now 20 laps to go. So for Atley, yeah, the nails are getting put in the coffin right now, and hopefully he didn't just give the other competitors the last nail to put in it. Because just like that, the 18 and the 1 rejoin the racing surface. They're going to have fresher tires, and they're going to be able to blister some quick laps here, while Atley Weiss is going to have to make his final pit stop still, and he's going to lose some momentum to those that are putting down fast laps. Here we go. Atley waited until lap 201. Why is there a red flag on pit road? Is there a caution? No, no way, no way. There's a caution. We've got a caution, and I don't know what the penalty is for that because pit road's closed, so Atley's basically entering a closed pit road. Is it the 34 that's brought out the caution? What do we have going down now? So, advantage Al Bunch. This caution is exactly what Al Bunch needed. He fell off the strategy. Oh, it was Ewan Woodarmy, as I was just bragging about their strategy call. Woodarmy gets hooked here. Hard hook by Liz Schengle. Spins him out. And just a solo spinner brings out the caution. Dude, Atley might have actually lucked out. Okay, so. Okay. We gotta pause this for a minute. So there's not going to be any retirements from that wreck, but there is a lot of folks trapped laps down at this point. Just like that, Al Bunch back up into the top 10 here as well, hold on a minute. Who exactly is where right now? Okay, so Atley will be your leader. It's Atley Weiss, Cam Jordan, Tyler Landed. It's a Toyota trifecta at the front of the field. Chaz Chadwick, Bradley Ream, Tim Cording, John Roman, Chris Harvey, Jacob Shangle, Liz Shangle, Ant Meat Person, Al Bunch, Kellen Relic, Lewis Trost, Lucas Holmes, Monty Shangle, Tyler Aspinall, Lynn Farrell, Ewan What Army, Kara Shangle, Jordan Walker, Belafon, Jack Ross, Tristan Reams, Jeffrey Gerald, Trevor Walker, Kevin Xavier, and Tayden Berggren, as all cars are on the lead lap here. Not going to enable green-white checkers yet. We are we are in very unusual territory here, as Atley Weiss actually lucked out when the caution fell when it did, and he's able to maintain his lead here today. It's a TRD 1-2. Okay, we are down to the final 15-lap shootout here from Indianapolis in the Indy 550 to close out your 2024 Sylvania Cup Championship. Al Bunch got a break there as he had mechanical failures that forced him to nearly go a lap down, but the caution came at a perfect opportunity to put him right back in the mix, back up into the top 15. It's going to be Atley Weiss and his teammate Cam Jordan setting the field for the restart here. What had gone caution-free for the first half of the race, we have finally seen 3 cautions staggered here for the second half, and we're getting ready to close out 2024 on a high note here. Potential for first-time winner as you've got Bradley Ream there in the top 5, Chris Harvey as well in the top 10. If something goes wrong for these leaders, they could be there to capitalize on it in a heartbeat. Toyota teammates worked that to perfection as they maintain 1, 2, 3, but here comes Bradley Ream on the inside up to 4th now as he's getting by Chaz Chadwick for position. This is going to be the best opportunity for everyone to show what they've got. Fresh tires, full gas. It's going to come down to who's got the fastest car here in a 15-lap shootout for all the marbles. Here we go, Atley Weiss taking a peek on the lead. Maybe just getting a taste of some fresh air there on the draft. Still Toyota 1, 2, 3. Bradley Ream in 4th. Let's see where Al Bunch is, if he's working his way out. Unfortunately, Al Bunch stuck up on the high side. Needs to find an opening, get down low, and there's 3 wide in front of Al Bunch. 3 wide at Indianapolis, not something you want to see, especially with the trajectory of the turns at this track. If you're even too wide, it gets kind of hard to make moves through the corners. So he's in a bit of a hornet's nest there as he's got to find his way through the traffic. Cam Jordan, Atley Weiss, Tyler Landa, Bradley Ream. Here we go, Atley making the move into turn 1 with 13 laps to go. More of a thank you, Cam Jordan, for your services, but I need to end the season on a high note here and get the 19 team to victory lane one more time. I do get a feeling that Cam Jordan he's pretty much auditioning here, you know? I mean, he's got his seat for next year, but he wants to prove to his new team owner of what they're getting when they signed him for 2025 to race the number 91 Monster Energy Dodge for Tyler Schenkel Racing. Fortunately, getting stuck up on the high line it's a death sentence here at Indianapolis. Finally, Al Bunch has found his way down onto the inside here, and he's got 11, 12 laps to work his way through the field here. Bradley Ream could be looking at potentially getting a career best finish here today in his very young Sylvania Cup career. He's already had a good fair start to the end of this season to prove his worth. Obviously in a Dodge right now as an alternate just to finish out the season, but he's going to be in number 78 Toyota for TRD to replace that 78 that we were talking about, who's auditioning for 2025. This time around, it's going to be 10 laps to go. And I'm going to be keeping a hawk eye on the green light. And if by chance we get a caution, hopefully we don't, I would enable green-white checkers just in case. This is where it would be nice if NR actually had a caution light tracker so you could keep an eye on the status of the race circuit. I could try to keep an eye on the stream to see when it shows yellow flag on that top of the ticker where it says 3 yellow flags with 11 laps under caution, but the problem is it updates, it refreshes at a slower rate than the live actions. So here we go, the 53 of John Roman making a move on Tyler Landa for second. Cam Jordan can kind of help play spoiler here to help boss man Atley Weiss keep the lead here. I think Al Bunch is picking him off one by one. It's going to be too little, too late, as he's already worked his way up to 12th here. Looks like he's using what he's got left in the tank here. It's going to be 9 laps to go, though. 8 laps. And still make his way up for top 5, I think. Maybe even flirting with potential battle at the front of the field before this is all over. Atley Weiss just putting in the laps at this point. He's consistent, keeping the lap times in his favor right now, putting him faster than his competitors behind him. Oh, perfect. If I want to, I can just skip forward and check the pace car. We don't have as much lap traffic at the front of the field, so I can just bounce to the pace car once we get to the front stretch. And Bradley Ream's starting to show his woes here a little bit. He's dropped all the way back to 11th at this point. Al Bunch on the attack here. Looks like he might be able to get that 40 car. And John Roman starting to close the gap to your leader, Atley Weiss. It's going to get interesting for the overall win here. These crown jewel races just present themselves with scenarios that you just wouldn't often see at any of the other races throughout the year. We're getting to watch a battle I didn't exactly anticipate seeing. John Roman versus Atley Weiss. Kind of a strange pairing, but it's working out here. John giving a bit of a bump in the middle of turn 2 there. I think Atley got the message. And now John trying to play head games to get inside Atley's head there, try to make him, force him into a mistake. In the meantime, Jacob Schenkel closing the gap. This is a track that has eluded victory from Jacob Schenkel. He actually lost a championship bid here where he was leading the race and could have won a second championship, but unfortunately only got to settle for one championship in the 15 years of Sylvania Cup action. So now we've got a 3-dog fight with 5 laps to go. Ooh, Al Bunch got shuffled outside and he's dropping backwards again. So yeah, it's down to this group at the front of the field. Atley Weiss having to hold off 2 Fords charging their way up to the front here. The big key factor for Atley is if that 64 inserts himself into the battle, gets the 53 side by side. That'll allow Atley to stretch it out in a key opportunity here with the laps dwindling away. John Boy retiring at the end of the year. No matter what, even a second place here in his final start, I mean, it's going to put a neat little ribbon on his career. Never won a championship, only won a handful of races, kind of in the single-digit category of race wins for that driver there. Been a staple since 2011, but it's time to hang up the hat and open that seat up for another up-and-coming driver that could make their history known. Man, it looks like Atley having to do everything. These two are putting down nearly identical laps. John Roman's got the speed, but I don't think he's going to have the drive to get around this 19. 19 is going to hold a wide steering wheel and keep competitors behind him. His favorite driver, Martin Truex Jr., got to retire from full-time racing at the end of this year, and unfortunately didn't really get to win in his final season of NASCAR Cup, but he did at least hold pole position in his last career start at Phoenix this year. Atley fashioned his team, the TRD team, a lot after Martin Truex Jr. and all of his ventures. So how fitting to actually have kind of a storybook ending like this. Martin Truex Jr. fan gets to call his shots the way he gets to call them, and here we are, lap 219 of 220. All he's got to do now is hold off two very stout Ford Mustangs en route to what could be his final full career start. No, John Roman gives him a bump. Oh boy. That just shows you how bad John might want this win. Atley keeps control of that car, even against that was insane, dude. Oh boy. I'm just gonna be sitting back now. I don't want to jinx anything, but John Roman took a jab for the lead there, and I think gave it all he got. You can't say Atley didn't earn this one today. He had to defend, he had to attack, and at the end here, he had to save that car from getting out of control. White flag waves. Atley Weiss just needs to make sure that doesn't happen again. 53, we could see a photo finish here. I think the 53 still got a little bit in the tank. Atley Weiss just playing defense at this point. Oh, the 53 peaking on the backstretch, I think trying to get a little bit of that clean air draft as they head into turn 3. He's going to try again, and it's going to be tough. Atley's got to hold high and steer wide as that 53 wants the lead here. Oh boy, is it going to be a photo finish drag race down the front stretch here. Looks like Jacob is going to give him a push. He wants to see this 19 end up in victory lane at the end here. And, oh, Atley gets the job done. Holy cow, man. That had everything all wrapped up into one at the end of this race. Holy crap. Atley Weiss ends his full-time racing resume with a victory here at Indianapolis. Atley Weiss, John Roman comes in third, Jacob Schenkel in second, Tim Cording fourth, Chaz Chadwick fifth, Liz Schenkel, Tyler Landa, Bradley Ream, Lucas Holmes, Cam Jordan, your top 10. 11th was Lewis Trost, then Monty Shangle, Kellen Relic, Al Bunch in 14th, Tyler Aspinall rounding out your top 15. Whew. Well, if that doesn't get you amped up for next year, I don't know what will. John Roman tried to steal that win away from Atley Weiss there on the last lap. And I am so happy that we are able to end the season off on such a note as that. Holy cow, man. I can't say enough. I'm speechless. Speechless. You can't say that the AI racers don't have spirit, they don't have motivation. That right there was encompassing the spirit and the fight, the drive of that of a real race car driver. Obviously, Atley Weiss wanted it just a little bit more and was able to defend on every attack that he got dealt there in the closing laps. And with a little help from Jacob Shangle, giving him a draft there on the front stretch, was able to secure the win and keep the 53 behind him. Congratulations, Atley Weiss, closing out his chronicled 2-year career in Sylvania Cup Series racing
Did you have
action.
that same ignition problem? Brake sensor went off.
And honestly, Project Roar is going to be looking pretty lit for next year, as you've got very deserving rookies hopping into a race-winning number 19 machine there. So, well, with all the races in the books, folks, thanks again for everything, your support, your continued following of the series. Within the end of the day today, I'm hoping to have earnings tallied up and we can start looking towards the awards banquet and whatnot in a couple weeks to a month maybe. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. And until next time, this is Jakester signing out.